Bushman bully. What do I mean by Bushman bully? Well, I was looking at some of these exercises and thinking, what is the kind of movement that I might make if I were back in the bush? In other words, what are the kind of natural movements? Because some of them with the X5, I'm not so sure about. I haven't got any aches and pains left. I backed off some, but I'm going to show you the ones that I think are more natural, if you will, and some of them that I think are maybe a little bit unnatural for me, and how I modify them by using the steel bow.
My book, as you can see, is getting a bit tatty. Got some sellotape there, and it doesn't stay open, so I'm forever putting it that way up and then picking it up and then skipping past the pages I'm not doing. I had something like this years ago. It's taken me a long time to redo it. And basically, I'm no artist, as you can see, but I've drawn the various exercises I use. I've scanned it and put it on Google Drive, and there we are. So no longer need to use the book. I can save it for bedtime reading, or maybe send it to my baby as a Christmas present. What do you think? No? Oh.
Got my cheat sheet, excuse me, at my friend's house, thank you very much. Got my cheat sheet here, which I showed you before. Let's see if I can decipher it. I used the X5 black one for this. So that's that motion there, which you hold for 10, then repeat for 10, then hold for 10 again. And that seems to me to be quite a natural movement. It's that side, and also that side. So it strikes me that's the kind of thing you might do in the wild, naturally. Feels quite a natural movement to me, maybe climbing trees, doing stuff, I don't know, whatever. And that one feels all right to me. This one is okay. I used a red one for this, with one foot and one strap. So keeping your back straight, obviously, as you lift. And that one's here, which again, something feels quite natural to me. It's the kind of thing you might do. Obviously carrying stuff, lifting stuff, fine. This one, with the feet, upper arms, similar sort of thing. It's the other way around. Put 2 feet on and lifting that way. So again, there might be times when you're carrying things. Again, that one feels quite natural to me. There's one for the back and for the legs. Again, the kind of stuff you do. Again, with all these, where I'm using the leg and the two hands, I tend to use a red, stronger Bullworker. So this one is quite simply 2 straps under the feet, and then either holding the one strap above, which gives you more of a, you can almost stand upright, and that's for the lower back, but that's kind of a natural thing. Feels to me, doesn't feel any strain or stress. And the other one is, if I take the 2 straps, then I don't go so high, and they recommend that you do that with pushing your backside upwards, so you're working the legs rather than the back. So great, no problems with any of that. There's a legs one where I sit down on the stool. A little bit unnatural perhaps, a little bit odd, but I don't find it any issue. I lean back, you'll be able to see what I'm doing. Instead without falling over. So there, and I'm putting my legs out. Feels a little bit awkward, but no issues with it. Not something that I'd say I can see myself doing in the bush particularly. Moving my legs out like that. So maybe that's one that's you'd want to watch. I also do this one, which of course actually isn't in the, you can feel it working there. Again, perhaps not a particularly natural motion, but I use it. It's not a problem. The next one I'm going to look at is you would hold the inner grips, put your arms between your knees, and then squeeze inwardly. That I find a little bit awkward to do on the X5, so it's much easier when I use the steel bow. Just took that between my knees there, job done. Again, not something I'd see myself doing in the bush particularly, maybe riding horses and so on and so forth. And I can feel that that's a little bit of So I'm just careful with it, that's all. Anything that feels, I just work up to it and then stop if I think that's enough. Find this one quite a useful one, again with the red, stronger. Under the sole ball of my feet, straighten the leg out, try and keep my back straight, and then work the calf muscle, hold, as you know, for 10, and then 10 repetitions, and then hold the last one for 10. That works well. Difference between the red, as you know, and the black X5 is the black's got a weaker spring. And for some things that's fine. So for this, with weaker spring, I can't move it much anyway. A little bit there at the front, fine. Again, the weaker spring at the back, can scarcely move it. I don't mind the overhead ones, all quite natural perhaps. The back one, would you do that in the bush? Is that a very natural motion? Feels okay to me. The front one, probably quite a natural motion, because if you want to carry something, you'd have to apply some force that way to, you haven't got handles and stuff to stop it dropping. Come to a few other ones here. This, I can't move it very much, and that's with the black, the weaker one. It's okay. I can feel it a bit in my shoulders and the joints there, and again, it's not a particularly natural thing perhaps, but it's okay for me. This one, can't move it much, and again, feels a little bit awkward. So I don't overdo that one. If I feel anything tweaking a bit, I just think, you know what, as long as I'm working the muscle a bit, that'll do. Because again, it doesn't feel like a bushman type thing. You'd be doing that really. Don't know. It's just, I'm just making this up really, but you know, but maybe there's some sense in it. And so we've gone on for that. So here are a couple of awkward ones where I use a steel bow instead. Again, this is the inner range on the X5, so you've got the handle there, but obviously here, your hands are that way. When it comes to the inner range, they have to be like that. So that, I find, is a little bit awkward because of the twist in the hands. And when I'm doing that, I can feel, doesn't like it. And again, is that a very natural thing to be doing with your hands twisted that way? So when it comes to that, I use a steel bow, because then my hands feel much better like that if I need to push, rather than with them twisted. Another one with this which they recommend on the inner range is this. Now, I've got to tell you, that doesn't feel very bushman to me. I can't particularly think of anything in the bush or back in the day that my body would be doing that, twisted that way. So, yeah, again, I simply use this, which, even though it's still an odd thing to do perhaps, it just feels like I haven't got that twist in my hand that way. So anything which I use on the inner range where there's a twist, I found I didn't like it very much, and that's on the X5 of course. Is there another one? Yeah, there's one here which they recommend, which elbows in, and which you can feel, it's not too bad, but again, I still don't seem to like that twist, so I use the steel bow instead, which just feels much more natural. Something I've noticed is more abdominal toning, shall I say, than I would have imagined. I think it's a few things. I use the red one, so I do the abdominal ones. I do this one. I do all of them that are in the old X5 booklet. So there's that one down on the knees. The one on the side, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, where they recommend that you grab the traction ropes and keeping your body facing forward, then pull here. Now that I don't like, I explained in another video, because to stop the traction ropes slipping, I have to really grip with this, and it seemed to cause a little bit of a carpal tunnel thing, which is just a hint of left. It's taken some months to go. I had some other aches and pains, but pretty much gone, all of them, because I paid attention. Could have been something else. You don't know, do you? But you may as well, if you've got a hint about something, just follow it, because injuries and stuff, who needs it? So there, for that one I use this. Obviously it's not quite the same angles and stuff, but that can go on the side, and I can do that, which feels fine. I don't have that really having to dig my nails and into, and I'm a musician as well, I play various instruments, so I don't want, thank you very much, stuff going on there, so that's fine. For that, so that's abdominals at the side. There are quite a few abdominals. I do the one where I sit down, again I use this, rather than grabbing the rope, so I can just use this one because it's shorter. It's a question of not being there. So I can use this for this. Hopefully you can see it. I can use, there's one where you use, obviously you're higher up. Hands are higher up on this long one. And there's a kind of in-between one where I can, probably the only one where I use the inner grip here, because that feels fine. Yeah, and I can imagine again back in the bush, probably pounding your grain or your maize and stuff, so that's quite a natural. And I find quite a bit of toning around the middle, which I didn't expect. I seem to have noticed a bit of, I don't know if it's weight loss because I don't weigh myself, but people say I'm looking quite lean. I'm thinking, well, it's not all that much doing this, something's going on. Part of it, I think, is doing the breathing, because I have noticed then when I'm doing all of these and you do your, so I'll give myself a hard time, let's make it easy. When you breathe in and do as they say, and so you're going 1, 2, now instead of counting, the idea is to control the breath on the way out. Instead of counting, I simply go, you can't hear it, but I'm just letting the air out slowly over a period of 10. And that is working all these abdominal muscles and your diaphragm and the muscles of inspiration and exhalation. So I'm thinking that there's a lot more work going on. It's not just the muscles you think you're using, because combining this breathing thing with absolutely every exercise, I'm thinking has had a significant difference to here. It's more work than you might imagine. I think just about done. Basically, the Bushman thing then is any exercise that seems natural. There's one on the floor where I kneel down. I'm not going to show you, you won't be able to see, so just kind of you might, don't know, might be out of shot. This one, so kneel down, put the steel bow. Again, it's one where you would hold the straps. So I'm not doing any of the strap holding because my body doesn't like it. So I'll use the steel bow and you're like this, and then you bring it and hold it there. So that's quite a bit of, but that's quite a, I can imagine in the bush you might be on the floor making a roof or doing something. It's quite a natural kind of movement there. Yeah, these, I'll just show you them. They're fine, quite natural. This one I like. So let me do it this way around. Which side does it go? It goes across, it goes on in here. So that, try to keep a straight back. Yeah, that feels great. Feels a very natural sort of, almost if maybe you're canoeing. Don't know, same on the other side. This one fine, and again, top one's the anchor. Again, obviously the further in it is towards your body and your chest, the less, if you do it like that, obviously it's starting to pull it like that, but that's not the idea of the exercise. The idea is this side, and I think these here. So you can anchor it here. Just little things then, noticing whether your technique, reading the book, but also trying to understand for yourself, because they can't put absolutely everything in the book, can they? They might have missed some things and what have you, and they've all got slightly different body shapes. So that one's fine as well. And I think that's it. And I'm glad to say that I feel I've got to, between these three, I'm very lucky to have the red one, obviously, the weaker black one, and thanks to Bullworker for sending me the steel bow, which I found a very good use for. And between them, and considering the exercises in a sort of natural way, kind of bushman way, the kind of things you would do, not feeling you have to do all of them. If something doesn't like it, it doesn't like it. It's either the way you're doing it or it just doesn't like it. Merry Christmas, and fingers crossed for 21 going a bit better for all of us. Adios.